o'clock. That was amazing.
Perfect.
This guy's here. Hey, everybody! We're live, and welcome to the show.
Welcome to our show.
Welcome to our show. Oh, my audio is loud. Turn that down. Nobody needs to hear.
Down a little bit, Doug.
You know what? I'm going to turn it down.
Yeah, maybe turn it down.
Maybe I will. Billy. I need to let our Discord know that it's happening.
Guess what? Knock knock, we're live.
Oh no!
I said we live.
I said
I would lick the pole.
You heard me.
There you go.
There we go. There it is.
I would lick the pole.
There it is.
Those two probably shouldn't go together.
Yeah, true. Very true. Anywho, yeah. Supposedly there's a new Mario trailer out.
I thought I saw. I was going to look that up, and I forgot to before we started here.
Should we watch it?
Yeah, I feel like we should.
Should we watch it and see like what's going on? Can watch it with everybody.
I won't be able to watch it.
No.
I will need to mute my Chrome because that's going to come through the stream. There we go.
I'm gonna have to.
Is this the new one or not?
There's no vape in team.
Wait. We're on here. Telling you, man. 2 hours ago. This got to be.
I'm telling you what. Telling you what. All right, let's do this, gang. Let's watch this shit.
All right. Let's go.
Okay.
Not sure if you know who I am, but I'm about to rule the world.
Wow, yay.
But there's one problem. There's a human, has a mustache, just like you.
Do you think I know every human being with a mustache wearing an identical outfit with a hat with the letter of his first name on it? Because I don't.
Bowser is coming. Together, we are going to stop that monster.
How? Look at us. We're adorable.
Oh, I got this. No problem. Yes! Come on, Mario! Our big adventure begins now! Ah! Get it off! Get it off! Get it off!
There's a huge universe out there.
Whoa.
With a lot of galaxies. They're all counting on us. No pressure.
Put a lot in here.
Man. I don't know.
Wahoo!
I'm realizing I'm a little loud when I do this, so I'm trying to talk over.
It did come out a little loud.
I don't know, Doug.
I'll say this much: like
I hope everyone enjoyed us just sitting there watching quietly for 2.5 minutes.
Yeah, I mean, hey, we were watching the thing, you know, doing the thing. I'm not.
Save this?
What's that?
Do we want to save this?
I suppose we could. Yeah, why not? Why not? Well, I think we're good, so we get started. All right. There's a good warm-up. Here we go. And recording. And 3, 2, 1. Hey, everybody. Welcome to Mind Gap Podcast. I'm Doug.
I'm Justin.
And we're excited to be here. We just, before we hit record, watched the new Super Mario Brothers trailer. And I was about to comment. Justin's like, should we save this? Should we hit record first? And I was like, you're right. Why waste the content? So, we just watched it. Justin, what do you think?
I don't know what to think because look, it looks visually, it looks good. Like I like the animation style. It works. There's a lot of references to things that people are like, ooh, Rainbow Road, ooh, this, ooh, the squirrel suit, or fox, whatever the fuck the flying thing was.
He's a raccoon.
The feather suit. The raccoon suit. That's it.
The feather suit. Jesus Christ, Justin.
3. I'm just saying, I didn't own it. I played it a lot. I don't know. I'm still back and forth on Pratt being Mario. Like just when he threw in the, all right, let's-a go. I'm like, no, you can't just casually in your normal voice say, let's-a go. That doesn't
be like Arnold Schwarzenegger being like, all right, let's-a go. That was a good
Right.
Arnold Schwarzenegger,
It was perfect,
Yeah.
by the way. I don't know.
Let's-a go.
I'm wondering if it's going to be, I'll be curious to see how the full movie plays. It's hard to tell from a trailer. But I'm
The
wondering
animation
if it's
looks
just gonna-
stunning. Like
It looks great.
absolutely stunning. Looks like they've got a good sense of humor about it. Again, I'm not a huge. I grew up playing Super Mario Brothers 1, 2, 3. I played stuff on the Game Boy. I didn't get an N64. I didn't get, I missed a lot of those things, so I feel like there's a giant gap in the love of those games where it's kind of faded for me. I'm not gonna look at it and be like, "Oh, cool," but I'm not a diehard. So I look at it, I'm like, "Oh, it kind of looks like it's fun." I know a lot of people are up in arms about Pratt doing the voice for it, and I understand it. I get it. I'll be curious to see how it goes. I think initially it doesn't sound like it fits, so we'll kind of have to see how it goes.
I like Charlie Day as Luigi.
Oh, he's
I'm
phenomenal.
assuming that was
Yeah,
Charlie Day. And then I love Jack Black as Bowser.
he's fantastic.
That voice sounds on point. I love
Yeah.
that. Who does Princess Peach?
I got to find it out.
Yeah, 'cause I wanted to place that voice and I just couldn't.
I know. I was like hearing it. I'm like, who is this? Mario movie. Who are you?
You're going to say it and I'm going to go, goddamn.
Anya Taylor-Joy.
Anya Taylor-Joy.
I didn't realize Keegan-Michael Key was playing Toad. I thought Charlie Day was playing Toad in the initial teaser.
Oh, really?
Yeah, I didn't realize that was Keegan-Michael Key.
So my question, I'm wondering if it's going to be, if they're going to fit all the references into the story, or if it's going to feel like they were just trying to ham-fist Mario references in, like, oh look, he jumped on the thing and he stayed too long, and then it fell and it turned red. Like, I guess that's the other thing. I'm like, and this will all be explained in the movie. We're not supposed to know from the trailer, but I look at that and go, how are we just explaining gameplay exists? Like, gameplay traps exist in this world.
I'm guessing what that was is it was a reference to the old school Mario, and they're using it as an opportunity for Mario to train on what to experience in the world.
Maybe. Okay.
So that's
Sure.
why he's like, sweet. And then Peach is like, no, you idiot. Like, you got to be better. So it seemed like that was like the training
Little
montage
training
using some nostalgia to kind of get through that, which looked kind of fun. Do you know who's playing the voice of Donkey Kong?
No, I didn't. Is it Andy Serkis?
No. That would be amazing.
Right?
Hello, princess. It's like, whoa, wait. Donkey Kong.
Who is it?
Seth Rogen. That's probably why you didn't hear his voice.
Yep, that tracks. That absolutely tracks.
But it's funny because it says Chris Pratt as Mario, but they also have Charles Martinet, who is the actual voice of Mario. He's also credited because you did hear a wahoo.
I did,
in
and I was
there.
going to say that wahoo was really on point.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Who else is it?
Here's the thing. I'm looking forward to, I want to be very clear. I'm looking forward to seeing the movie. I have high hopes for it. I think it's going to be good. Anytime you take a property that's so beloved, you run the risk of, are you going to do it justice or not? So that's the only trepidation I have is I'm just hoping they do it justice, and there looks to be some things where you're like, but all in all, I think the trailer looks very good. Again, like you said, the artwork, the animation on it is I think right where it needs to be. We didn't have another Sonic the Hedgehog situation.
Yeah.
where Mario had super long legs, and
Yeah.
he was ripped or whatever. I don't know. It was an uncanny valley situation with him.
I think some people were saying like there was a screenshot of Mario and he had like a nice juicy ass in like the game, and they're like, "Where's his butt in this movie?"
He
like-
needs a better dumper.
It's like, "Where's the dumper?" There was a great Seth posted a great Sonic meme in our Discord, which I will actually send over to you so you can have it.
Okay.
Because it references the original Sonic design.
Yeah.
So that's why
that
I was like,
nightmare of a design.
yeah. Should be coming over to.
Absolute
there you
nightmare
go.
of a design.
Yeah. And I will try to share this with the stream as well, because this is just to show you what kind of cool stuff you could see if you join our Discord gang. It's not,
I'm sure I could also just log in and see it too.
you could, but it's kind of hidden.
It's been
It's
buried
It's been 48 hours, so
too long.
yeah, it's much
too
too
long
long
now.
Much too long. All right, this is a long way to
Buried.
get to this joke, but
Yeah.
yeah. Sniff, sniff, sniff. Oh yeah, I smell some gamer girl feet. Skitters towards your feet on all fours. Milady, please, I've been so good.
I don't know what you're talking. Did you send it to me?
I sent you via G-Chat.
I'm not seeing it,
You're not seeing it.
and that's okay. We can move on because
No,
this
we're
is
not
great
moving on,
podcast
Justin.
material.
No, it's good. This is important. You need to see this. All right, so I'm going to make it happen.
Great.
I think.
can't wait for listeners. Strap
There you go.
in. This is gonna.
Now it's
this
there.
is about to be. There it is.
There it is.
This is
Yeah.
about to be the best 5 minutes of podcasting you've ever heard.
I agree. So, cha-cha. I also think that.
Cool. That was definitely worth it.
Told you. I think
Wow.
considering that the previous Mario movie is the only thing we have to go off of, this is like, hey,
We're
can it
talking
be
about
worse than
John
that?
Leguizamo,
Yeah.
Bob Hoskins, right?
Yeah. Like
Bob
we can't
Hop-
be any worse
is it
than
Bob
that.
Hopkins?
Hoskins, I think.
Yeah, Hoskins. I always
Yeah.
get the name wrong. Yeah, Bob
Yeah.
Hoskins and John Leguizamo. That movie, first and foremost, is a classic and needs to be submitted to the Library of Congress.
It's something. It was a movie that was officially made. That's for sure. God, what a film.
That is an American treasure, is what that is.
That's like, looking back at old, pre-Marvel days superhero movies, and you're like, Jesus Christ, what were we trying to do here? Like, no one could quite put their... It seems like, well, I mean, DC still struggles with it today, but it seems like a no-brainer on how to do these things, and they're like, no, let's make Spawn. And, they just completely fuck up that movie. It's like, Jesus Christ, guys. Like,
I will say this. I have not seen that movie in a long time. We're talking about Mario, Super Mario.
yeah.
But
It's
I
called
don't.
Mario Brothers.
Cool.
Mario Bros.
I don't think it was as bad as we all remember it being. I would say I need to watch it again and to render my verdict.
I'll say it's probably not as good as you remember either.
What?
I remember as a kid enjoying it,
Yeah.
but also I think
we-
in the back of my mind, I also knew that it wasn't good. But I was like, I was just so excited there's a Mario movie.
Sure.
Like to me, it was like, I never thought I'd ever get to see a Mario movie, and I love this game. And I'm like, look at these horrific references to things, that that we're trying to pull off here. It's crazy. It was bonkers. Yoshi
Yeah.
was terrifying, a terrifying raptor.
Oh, it's amazing.
Yeah, it was the Goombas. Oh man, it was
all
weird.
amazing.
It was all about evolution and dinosaurs.
Yeah, they kind of missed the mark on the theme of the film, I would say. But
Yeah.
outside of that, if we liked it as kids, Doug, there's one thing that we've learned in this life of ours. It's that the taste of... Nope, let me rephrase that.
No,
Kids-
keep going with the... Really curious how that was gonna go, Justin.
Yeah. Well, no, I'm not giving you another freebie for the old audio drops.
That doesn't seem fair.
Yeah, I know.
That doesn't seem fair. I feel like we were all robbed.
The discerning tastes. When it comes to art of the younger generation,
You sound like a politician who's been asked, like, something awful, and they're just tap dancing their way around it. They're like,
I'll say this.
I did not inhale.
I will say this. Kids know what's up. All right. Never has a kid been wrong when it comes to what's good. So there you go.
Yeah.
What we liked as kids, that just stands the test of time, Doug.
I think
that's been proven.
We can thank
time
the kids
and time again.
for Jake and Logan Paul. Thank you, kids.
Yep. Oh man, I forgot how much those names make me angry. I believe, if I'm not mistaken, there was one episode where every time he was brought up, it was a fart noise. So there was one episode, I'm pretty sure, that every time that Logan Paul got brought up.
Yeah, I think we had a guest on too, and we're just like, here we go.
Yep.
Just let it happen.
Fuck them.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Fuck them hard. Anyway, so that movie's coming out, y'all. You can check out.
What's the release date on that?
April 7th, 2023. So
okay,
in a few months, it'll be here. And
is that when you're going to go to the theater to see, or will you wait for it to come on streaming?
I showed that trailer, the teaser to Jill when the teaser came out, and she's like, I don't. And she grew up with Mario. She's like, I don't need to go to the theater to see that. And I'm like,
will you rent it at home when it comes out on Apple, or
probably
will
not?
You
I'll wait
for it to hit streaming somewhere.
I'll get it on streaming because that's not one where I think Natalie probably would think it's cool, but I'm also like, we don't need to go to the theater to see that one. Like that's.
Has she played any Mario?
She's seen us play, and she played a little bit on the Switch a couple of years ago when my brother came to visit. She used to call my brother called the Goombas Carls. He's like, yeah, stomp that Carl. So that's what she remembers them being his Carls.
All right, I like it.
She's like, remember that game we played where we were trying to fight the Carls? I'm like, oh yeah, Super Mario Brothers.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
That is forever what she will call them. It's going to be, she's going to be. I was today years old when I learned that I've been calling these things the wrong name my entire life. Thanks, Uncle Dave.
Did you ever grow up calling something the wrong word or anything like that? Or was
such a great...
Because I got one that really irritated the hell out of my dad.
Maybe it'll hit. Maybe it'll
for whatever reason,
something.
my brother and I used to call soda TT, and my dad had a soda machine right outside his office. He has diabetes, by the way, and we would always.
Why you laughed at that?
It's true. He's got diabetes, and by the way, he calls it the diabetes. So.
Oh, he does. He puts the. Yeah. That's precious.
He calls Missouri. Like, yeah, he's got it. Thankfully, he doesn't call it washing your clothes. But, anyway. We used to, when we'd go to his office at the school, he was a track coach at a college. We would always be like, Dad, can we please have someone to get some TT?
Do you remember where it came from?
No idea. No idea why we called it TT, but I distinctly remember the day that I stopped calling it was my dad was like, I will give you this only if you stop calling it TT.
What age do you remember?
I don't know. I don't know. I was
you were like 16 and you're like,
Daddy, can I have some TT? He's like, Jesus Christ, you have your license. All right,
you're embarrassing me right now.
You could get drafted in 2 years. You cannot be calling this TT. All right.
Charlie will kill you.
I was just like, I don't know, man. I that still to this day makes me laugh. I just remember we used to call my dad's dad. We used to call him Popo, P-O-P-O, and at one point he asked my dad to tell us to stop calling him. He's like, Grandpa's fine. And I'm like, oh, that sucks. Oh, that's funny. Hey, here comes Popo. Whoop, whoop.
While
that's the sound of the police.
I strongly doubt that's the connection he made.
What connection did he make? He just didn't like it?
I just don't think he liked being called Popo.
Better than poo-poo.
Yeah, he's just like, look, we're not Norwegian. Popo.
Hey, Popo.
And we're Swedish, but I mean, not Norwegian.
No
Jesus
way.
Jesus Christ.
As long as you're not Dutch, Fucking Dutch.
I can't remember if there's any other one. I'm sure there was something that drove my parents out. Nothing that's coming to mind except I used to call my grandfather until he said, enough of this.
I remember watching an Animaniacs episode don't know if you remember that show, that cartoon.
Oh, absolutely.
And there was a
I
part
heard
where
they were bringing it back.
probably where those three characters were they saw death, and they were driving death crazy. And they were
Yes.
like, "Can we call you Dadu?" And they're like, "Dadu!" And they were giving him hugs, and he was like, "Why are you doing this?" And I started calling my dad Dadu, and I don't think he liked it. I gave him a hug. I was like, "I'm going to call you Dadu." And he's like, "Okay. I have diabetes." You know?
You're gonna start watching World War II documentaries.
He's just
Enough
kind of
this
like,
shit.
I think he laughed because it was so random.
Yeah.
Like, but then after that, he's like, "All right, I'm done with this. Like, I don't need to do this anymore. I'm over this. Call me John Guy Cochran. Thank you.
Right.
Call me
You
by
can
my
either
full
call
name.
me Mr. Cochran or John.
Yes, John G.
John G. Okay, Dadu.
Dadu. Oh God.
Does Natalie have any nicknames for you guys?
No, we've got a
Just
couple
mom
for
and
her.
dad?
We call her Nat Nat. I call her Nat Nat, the Nantucket cat. For whatever reason, Jill's oldest sister calls her Nate Nate. So I'm like, why do you call her that? And there was just a weird explanation for it I didn't get. I'm like, okay, I guess. I call, do I call her anything else? Natty. Yeah, I don't know. I don't know if, I don't think she has anything for us. Nothing that's ever stuck. Like, we've joked around and, call each other something silly, but it's never anything that's stuck. Or anything like that. I call Jill Bean a lot of times.
Yes, I know that, yeah.
Yeah. Beanster, Big Jilly style, the classics,
all the good ones.
all the good ones, the
Yeah.
classic stuff like that.
Yeah,
Yeah.
right.
Yeah, right. Yeah, right. Yeah. Hey, gang. Real quick, in case you didn't know, follow us on all social medias at MindGap Podcast. Check out our streams, youtube.com/MindGap Podcast. You can follow, you check out our Discord. Link is in the description below. Check out our Patreon, patreon.com/MindGap Podcast. And check out our merch at redbubble.com. That has been housekeeping.
That was tidy.
Bam. You all don't need to hear me
that was
drone on
high
about
and
this
tight.
every week. Bam, bam, bam. We got shit to talk about.
Right. There's links everywhere. Go find what you're looking
There's
for.
links.
Go find it.
It's down there.
There's links
Support us because we support you.
Yeah.
You don't know it, but we do. We're there.
We do. We come out. We come out every week. We play hard. We play the game for you.
We do.
This is what we play for.
Ah! Kind of hurt. All right, let's get to our first thing. A woman is suing Kraft Heinz for $5 million, saying that mac and cheese preparation isn't as advertised.
I was worried that I wasn't going to have anything to be frustrated with as far as being American goes this week. And so I'm glad that you brought this to my attention, Doug.
Yeah, well, I aim to please.
Yeah.
This first sentence of this article from KTLA is, a Florida woman is suing the Kraft Heinz company for $5 million, claiming they misled the public about the time it takes to prepare its Velveeta microwavable mac and cheese cups. If that isn't the world's most American sentence, I don't know what is. Just...
Now, Doug, what was the advertised time to make this?
Okay, so first of all, I didn't realize that Kraft owns Velveeta. I guess it kind of makes sense, but then also I thought Velveeta was its own thing, but I guess it would also make sense that it would fall under the Kraft brand. But hey, it's all good.
Maybe
Jill
it
asked
was its own thing.
Jill asked us, yeah, right, and they probably just bought it. Jill asked us
Yeah.
what we were talking about. I was like, I mentioned Kraft and Velveeta. She's like, wait, what? And she sowed doubt into what I thought I read, which was true, is that it is the Velveeta cups. She's like, wait, that doesn't make sense. And I'm like,
Well, I got to just look up Velveeta while you're talking here. And just
yeah,
see.
right. That used to
if
be the
this
shit,
is-
man. I used to love Velveeta, and I also realized how kind it is to call it average. It is not. It's not good.
I mean, it is barely cheese.
Yeah, I mean it's a good melting cheese.
It's a great melting cheese, and that's
yeah.
it. So it was owned by the Velveeta Cheese Company.
So Tom
from
Velveeta eventually gave it up.
1918 Well, it's from 1918 to 1927. From 1927 to 2012, it was owned by Kraft Foods, and now it's Kraft Heinz.
Ah, okay, gotcha.
So there you go. So really, in the time that we've known it, it has been
Always been basically
Yeah.
under Kraft's control.
right.
So this is the stipulation with it. Which, by the way, I want to
tell
go
me.
back real quick. Like Velveeta, you eat it much? You have it much? Do you do much for mac and cheese?
I have it every Thanksgiving. My stepmom makes it. She uses it to make the mac and cheese that the family goes gaga over, myself included. So
I was like, do you go gaga for it? And the answer is
oh,
yes.
absolutely, yes.
Okay,
That is
cool.
one of my favorite dishes when we go to the Quad Cities for.
Nice.
I'm sorry. Before we move on, I just want to say there's a section of the Wikipedia article that's titled "Classification as a Cheese Product." It warranted its own section. The FDA in 2002 issued a warning letter to Kraft that Velveeta was being sold with packaging that described it as a pasteurized processed cheese spread. The FDA said no. So I don't know.
You need to be a little more clear on what you're selling. Because that ain't it.
Velveeta is a block of melting substance.
Yes.
Moving on.
It's like saying this is buttered flavored topping, that you get at the movie theaters. It's like, I'm sorry, what?
You heard us.
Yeah, it's a topping and it kind of tastes like butter. There you go.
Right, so it's butter. Legally, we can't.
We
have you
legally
say
we
that.
can't call that, sir.
Yeah.
I'm sorry. Margarine? No, absolutely not.
I
No,
can
no,
neither
no.
confirm nor deny what you're saying, but please move along.
But it does taste like it. Put it on there and die. All right. So the issue here,
Yeah.
that what's her full name? It's Amanda Ramirez is saying is that that the package of a Velveeta shells and cheese says it takes 3.5 minutes to prepare. That is it's on the box, and it's printed on there, which is the amount of time the product takes to cook in a microwave. However, the suit says it takes more time to complete the other required steps.
Oh my God, Doug, these steps must be like very laborious and intensive.
I mean,
Do you need a cooking degree?
it probably
this?
Chef Mike should weigh in on this, on maybe what
Yeah.
is necessary for these kinds
Yeah.
of things. But this is how the lawsuit describes the cooking process. So
Okay, I'm in for this.
you
This is
know,
gonna be
so
complicated.
I'll just settle down and
All right, chill your tits.
here we go.
All right.
So, first, consumers must remove. Sorry, it's remove in all caps, so I felt the need to do remove lid and cheese sauce pouch. Check.
That
Next,
tracks.
they must add water to fill line in cup. Stir. Third, microwave. Uncovered on high 3.5 minutes. Do not drain. Finally, they should stir in contents of cheese sauce pouch. The defendant then notes, cheese sauce will thicken upon standing. All those words were in caps.
I heard them in caps, which
yeah.
is wonderful. Yeah.
So they
Wow,
say
it
that
sounds super complicated.
it says consumers seeing ready in 3.5 minutes will believe it represents the total amount of time it takes to prepare the product, meaning from the moment it is unopened to the moment it is ready for consumption. The lawsuit also claims that Ramirez bought the product for a premium price, in quotes, of $10.99 between October and November 2022, among other times. I love the among other times. It's just like
Among
specifically
yeah.
this team, but let's face it, Ramirez, she's been buying Velveeta for a while. It also did not say how long it actually took Ramirez to prepare the mac and cheese. I think that's a crucial detail that they just happened to leave out. The suit described Ramirez as someone who looks to bold statements of value when quickly selecting groceries, and is like many consumers who seek to stretch their money as far as possible when buying groceries. I feel like those two things are not linked. I think to say I'm looking for a value and I'm trying to stretch my money as far as possible, what does that have to do with mac and cheese? Like, I'm sorry. Is there a competitor out there that's like, we can do it in 3 minutes, and that's from this, that includes opening up, stirring it, and microwaving it.
Right.
I fail to see.
It's like the game show Name That Tune. I can
Yeah.
do that in one note.
Exactly. Yeah.
We can make that in 3 minutes. Fuck your 3.5.
Yeah. For the record, they're seeking at least $5 million in damages, including statutory and punitive, exclusive of interest and costs. I hate this so much.
Yeah.
Because just like we talked about before, there was something else recently where we're like, I wish I had this much time on my hands.
Right. I wish this is what I had to worry about. Let's play it from the other side, though, Doug. Like, let's try for just a second to put ourselves in Miss Ramirez's shoes, and is there any world in which a sane person could feel wronged on this?
Practical
Like,
Doug.
Yeah. Let me hear what your thoughts are, Practical Doug.
Practical Doug does say technically there is some validity to this claim. Because if you're saying ready in 3.5 minutes, but you're not specifically saying microwaves in 3.5 minutes, it's actually an indeterminate amount of time. There is technically something there. Now, it's negligible. You know what I mean? Like,
Yeah.
I think if you've ever heated up macaroni and cheese before, you've made anything that is of this quality. I'm shocked. I think the biggest thing is that I'm shocked that it was $10.99. I'm like, how many cups are you getting? Like,
well, I was just looking it up, and I couldn't find anything over like $4 or $5 on.
Yeah.
When I just Googled it, like,
Yeah,
I don't know how much. What? Maybe she was buying like a 20-pack of this, or I don't know.
well, because that's the thing is the premium price that's listed in this article is in quotes, which makes me also think that she got a bad deal. Like,
Right? Did she got? I feel like she should be bringing the store that sold the store into the lawsuit.
yeah, I want to see if I can find something with this because
But I mean, as you're looking that up, like, is she? Because does she take the time? Does she account for the time that it takes her to pull it out of the cabinet and walk over to the micro? Like, at this point, I'm like, how frivolous can we make this? Do you know what I mean? Like, it takes.
yeah,
Are you accounting for the time that it takes you to actually get the fork out of or the spoon out of the drawer and then insert it into the cup and then bring it to your mouth? Like, where does this? I don't know. Where does this end?
yeah,
Where
that's
does it-
that's the thing
this
is
just
like
doesn't-
there's a reason why a lawyer is actually going ahead with this is because technically speaking, yes, like this is possible. Like this
Right.
is something that does technically have a legal avenue, but this is what we're spending our time on. And really, you're going to sue for $5 million?
Right.
That's
That
really
would
what
love
you're
to
gonna
know
do?
Where that comes from? Where do you get that figure from?
Well, I think part of it, I think, is they're probably trying to cover, whatever statutory charges go with false advertising, but then they're adding on punitive damages to try and deter anyone else from trying to pull this sort of bullshit ever again. You know?
Yeah.
Etoy, what's up, pal? Look, they had 3.5 minutes. That was it. They were misled, lied to.
You're not wrong,
Etoy says.
Etoy. You're not wrong.
Ike, listen.
This is a person who is hard up for some cash, and I don't know. Gosh, I want to know what drives a person to take it to this level. Because there have been times where I have had that thought of like, man, like I could, if I wanted to take this to an extreme, like I could really use $5 million, and I'm sure there are things that have happened where I could take a lawsuit out on it. But it's just not worth the time. And also the press that you get with it. Like, this is an absurd lawsuit. And the press that this lady is bringing on herself, man, is this what you want to be known for? Because the internet's forever. Like, you're going to be the craft lady.
This takes time. Like, this takes
Yeah.
a lot of time and a lot of effort. It's going to come with fees.
Yeah.
Like, it's to be like, this is it. This is my calling. This is the hill that I will die on.
Yeah, man.
Get ready, Kraft! I'm coming for you! For the record,
Yeah.
I can find a 12-pack from Sam's Club for $10.48, or I can find an 8-pack for roughly anywhere between $7.50 and $8.50.
Did you see the one on Walmart that was selling for $215?
Is that like a Black Friday deal or something? Like,
I don't know. I just saw it and I didn't click on it because it looks ridiculous. But
yeah, and a standard 4-pack is like $5. So if she actually spent $10.99, then she probably got a 12-pack, is what I'm assuming. So I just
so to multiply all that time together, I mean that's a lunch break lost right there. if you're making all 12.
We're doing this over Velveeta shells and cheese.
That's the thing I can't
Velveeta
get
shells
over.
and cheese.
Right.
come on. Like, I look at this as this is someone looking for a payday.
Oh,
I had
100% is.
I had a friend in college who bought a paper towel pack of Bounty, and he got one that had a rat wrapped up in it. And he sent me a picture of it, and he goes, I'm getting paid. Like, he's like, I'm going to town on these buttholes at Bounty because they basically were like, we're really sorry this happened. Here are some coupons for Bounty.
Oh, gee. Are you serious?
And he was like, that's not good enough. And I was like, have fun with that. Like, good luck.
Yeah.
Like,
Did he ever pursue it?
He got his coupons, but he didn't do much else. Like,
I would say that is a better, like,
Yes.
if this lady opened up the Velveeta and it was full of cockroaches or
instead
something.
of like
or
actual
ants.
pasta shells, it was just like
Yes.
human fingernails, you know?
Yeah.
Like,
Now we're talking like that's a big old fuck up, and that's
some
gross,
cartel
and
shit
there's-
right there, you know?
I'm saying, yeah.
Yeah.
So like I get that, but if you're quarreling over it actually takes 5 minutes and not 3.5. Oh, come on. Come on.
I just, it's such a dumb thing. And
Is
this
your day
is,
is your day that precious that you can't waste 2 more or a minute and a half more?
I was like, yeah, keep fighting the good fight. You're a model American. It's like, I'm going to make sure that this is what you're going to hold corporations accountable for. This
Yeah.
right here.
Right.
This
How
is the
about-
fight.
Yeah, I don't know. How about environmental impact? How about not paying taxes? How about unfair,
Not paying health care
treat-
for people that
Right.
want to do birth control.
unfair treatment to their worker? Exactly. Let's go down
Corporate
the fucking list.
taxation. No! They said this takes 3.5 minutes to cook in the microwave.
Oh,
Bah,
yeah.
bah, 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 bah. Go fuck yourself.
But I'm hungry now.
Mr.
It's my
Ramirez,
shells
Mr.
and I
Ramirez,
want it now.
Mr. Ramirez, make something better. Make a better health choice, all right? Don't let Kraft mac and cheese consume someone else's life. I don't know you, but I know you're better than this. I don't say that dismissively. I'm just saying there are better options out there. There are better mac and cheese options out there.
Yes.
And you know what? They may not be as fast, but they're better. And you know what? You can make your own mac and cheese. You know? For
Using fine products like Velveeta.
right. And you can make it pretty quickly, I might add. Pretty quickly, and it tastes infinitely better. And
Right.
arguably a little bit healthier. Just because it doesn't have preservatives, it's not made of nuclear powder or whatever, you know,
Sure.
if you're using like just regular Kraft stuff. So, and if you're that pressed for time, make yourself a fucking sandwich. All right, like just don't do this. And corporate America can eat all the balls in the world, but this is just what a waste of time for everybody. What a waste of
Right.
everyone's time. And that's all I got to say about that.
And that's the weighing in on that topic.
That is that. Next segment.
Certainly won't be the last frivolous lawsuit we probably cover on this show.
No, I saw that. I was at the gym working out, and I saw that pop up as a headline. I'm like, I instantly was like Googling it on my phone. I'm like, I'm going to save this one for the podcast because I was
Yep.
like, I just saw woman sues Kraft, and I'm like, oh, I wonder what over mac and cheese. I'm like, I wonder what this is about. I'm like, it's just as good as I thought it would be.
It paid off. Yep.
It's just as dumb as I thought it would be. So Justin, you're a man of
Yes, Dennis.
sports. You're a man of balls. You like to have your balls kicked in, you know?
Yep. I like my balls in my bag.
Pee on me, Daddy.
You are all about all the stuff. The World Cup is going on right now. Soccer, football,
Yes.
ball kick.
Very well aware of this.
Whatever
One of
you
my
wanna
favorite
call it.
Sports to watch.
Yes,
Soccer.
soccer. I was at the in-laws for Thanksgiving over the weekend, and Jill's nephew is super into soccer, and he plays it and he watches it pretty much religiously. So this is
like me.
this is like Super Bowl time for him. And I was down there while they were watching Argentina versus who gives a fuck because they beat him. But basically, he's a huge Messi fan, and he got to watch Messi score 2 goals. And while this was going on, like, you know, they were prominently showing, you know, stuff about Qatar because that's where this is, you know, being held. And I just turned to my brother-in-law and I was like, so let me ask you a question. Does it bother you that even though you like soccer, does it bother you that Qatar and FIFA are corrupt as hell, and you're watching this sport taking place in a country where migrant workers, thousands of migrant workers died to build these stadiums for people to play this game in. Like, how does that make you feel? He goes, yeah, dude, FIFA's corrupt as fuck. And then they immediately kept watching the game. Like,
isn't it amazing how people will just make forgivenesses for something that is important to them? Look, I've done it. We've all done it. Mine hasn't been in regards to sports, but maybe in regards to either comedians or musicians or something of that regard. But
yeah. And for the record, I'm not judging my brother-in-law.
No, absolutely not.
I'm not judging the fans of soccer who this is like one of the most sacred occasions for them.
Right.
This is their Olympics. This is, this is a profound moment for them to get excited about and to share in, and they love it. It's just unfortunate because I've listened to Jesus, why is this failing me now? World Corrupt is what it's called. It's a podcast on the Crooked Media Network. And they did a 6-part series breaking down the World Cup, why it's corrupt, and the idea of sports washing, which essentially is when a country or organization will buy a sports team and then essentially use this as an opportunity to sort of like wash over the fact that they're dirty, gross, corrupt, or anything else. And Qatar is absolutely one of those countries who had no business being able to host this event. They didn't have the facilities, didn't exist.
Right.
They reside in a desert with insane weather that is not conducive to the sport. They had to shift the league schedule to November because it's cooler then as opposed to having it in the summer. So they had to change all the shit around just so they could host it.
Right.
And it is absolutely, and that's just
not to mention a horrible human rights record.
Just deplorable. They have a shitload of money from oil and natural gas, and they bribed essentially their way into winning this. And Justin, you sent me that amazing Last Week Tonight episode from John Oliver and his team who broke this down. And what I found very interesting about that in particular was how FIFA's analysis of Qatar was like, yeah, this can't happen here. It's a non-starter. It absolutely cannot. And what I loved about this was John Oliver's joke about this would be like if you were going to award Best in Show to a tortoise. He's like, sure, there's nothing. I mean, the tortoise isn't bad, but it has no business being at this competition whatsoever. Like, there's just no way it shouldn't be here.
Right.
And Qatar is also known for they only have like 10% of their populations are the only citizens. The rest are all migrant workers, and the workers they bring over from other places are essentially it's basically slavery.
It is, yeah. Like
to
you
put
said,
it nicely, is indentured servitude.
Exactly. Yeah.
And it just these guys work in horrible conditions in 120-degree heat to build these stadiums.
And they go into massive debt to get there. So they are tethered to their employers. They can be traded like trading cards between different construction companies, different contracting companies. They have very little means to actually get out of this, and the conditions of living and working are both just horrendous. Like the what's the word I'm looking for? The camps that they set them up at. There's hundreds of people to a 4-stall bathroom, or 60-something people have to share a kitchen. They're piled together on cots. There's no air conditioning. It's horrible, absolutely disgusting conditions that they put these people in. They have to cook in the bathrooms, in the showers. Cook or go to the bathroom. It's just disgusting.
Yeah, it's absolutely horrible conditions.
And they turn the blind eye to it. The leadership, the quote unquote leadership over there turns the blind eye. Yeah.
Yeah, and not to mention on top of that, like women have huge laws against them. Gay, trans, the LGBTQ community is absolutely just stifled.
Right.
And unable to do a lot of things. And they also made a good point is they built a city in 10 years.
Right.
Like that didn't exist previously. They built this city, and John Oliver had a great bit where he's like, if you saw a sign that said a TGI Fridays is coming up, you're like, that's cool. But if you came by that same place the next day and it was already up, you'd probably have some questions as to how that got built so fast. Because that was one of the things they were telling you, like, can you believe this city didn't exist 10 years ago? Or like, that seems like it's a problem. Like, that probably shouldn't exist. Because also, who's living in the city? Mm-hmm. Like, that's just isn't something, in my mind, I'm not an engineer, I'm not a city planner, but cities kind of seem to grow and establish themselves organically. To be like, we're building this city here. And that's probably why it looks so fucking empty all the time. Yeah. It's because... Or it may be full for this event, and then after that, it's going to be a ghost town. You know,
that's what I'm saying. Like, this is going to be something in 100 years where they like, and let's look at the lost city of the World Cup 2022.
Right. This exists. Yeah. It's like a lot of those other Olympics, countries who have built all these facilities, and then they just sit there and rot because they don't actually have a use for it. You know.
Exactly. Yeah. If your population is just the workers who are building this, and you're building an entire new city for this, once this goes out once this is done and those people flood out of your city, out of your what are you going to do with it? You got an abandoned city in the desert.
Also, Qatar is a terrible soccer, like they have a terrible team. They already got eliminated. Like they got annihilated because that's the only way they were ever going to be in the World Cup. Yeah, was basically bribing their way into it, and they got their shit handed to them because they're not very good. They didn't earn their way in there. So, anyway, the whole point of this is I'm not a soccer fan. Although I have to say, watching it, I kind of enjoyed it. Because while I definitely nothing soccer, what I did enjoy about this, and it took my brother-in-law to kind of break this down. He goes, "What's great about soccer is it's literally just 2 hours." Mm-hmm. He's like, "There's no commercial breaks because it's a running clock." He's like, you watch for the first half, there's a little bit of a break, and then you watch the second half, he goes, and it's done. There's nothing, it's not like football where you're trying to ice the kicker or basketball, God forbid basketball, where it's like foul free throws, foul timeout. He's like, no, you just play. You play the game, and then it's done. And I was like, all right, cool. And I was also, you're watching some of, the intensity around it was pretty cool. Yeah, it was. I definitely enjoyed it way more than I have in the past. So kudos to that. And I know for some people, like I said, this is their holiday.
Well, this is their jam. Much as we get into sports here, it wasn't until I watched that FX series, Welcome to Wrexham, with Rob McElhenney and Ryan Reynolds about the AFC Wrexham team that they purchased. It wasn't until I watched that I actually realized how integrated the team is, or the club is, to the city that they represent. Like, it really is. Like, the success of the city is very tied in a lot of cities. I won't say all, obviously, but from what I understand, the success of the city is very tied to how that club's doing. Like, it holds a lot of value in tourism and town pride and shops that are there and like all sorts of things. It's such a driver, and not only that, but generationally, people, when you lock into a club, that's the family's club. You know what I mean? And that goes down the lines. And I mean, we have something like that in the States.
You got Cubs fans, you got Bears fans. You know,
I was gonna say my grandfather's a Cubs fan, my dad's a Cubs fan. If put into a corner, I will root for the Cubs. But but it's nothing like the soccer fans or the football fans. So. Totally respect it from that standpoint. The sport in general. FIFA, whole different story.
Yeah, no, I don't. It's like also one of those things where it's just so blatant that what they're doing is bullshit. Mm-hmm. For
not hiding it anymore.
The head of FIFA is like doing his opening, announcement. He's like, today, I feel, I feel I celebrate because I am black. I am gay. He's basically saying like this is what FIFA and the World Cup is. It's like, no, those things don't fly.
You bring all those things together.
It's like, no. Not in Qatar, you don't. Yeah. Budweiser had a big advertising deal with them up until 2 days before, and then they basically were like, hide all the beer, all the booze. We don't need it here anymore. I was like, oh, that's cool. you know. And also, if you look at the crowd, not a single woman in the crowd, because I think most of those games at night, I don't know if ladies are allowed out at night or whatever, or what the rules are. And essentially, you know, the idea of like, well, what if you're gay? It's like, well, don't be gay while you're there. You know, it's like, what the fuck? Like, okay, that's insane. And to put them on a stage like that where they can sort of celebrate quote unquote accomplishments, I think is absurd. And what I find most compelling about this is, because we've talked about this before, is can you separate art from the artist, right? We've talked about this before with actors, with musicians, where you've watched them, you know, in something or perform or do their thing, knowing also that they're kind of shitty people and they've done shitty things. You're like, can you still enjoy their stuff? You know, like most recent one I would say is, you know, J.K. Rowling. Like a lot of people are like, I don't really like Harry Potter anymore. You know, people are kind of seeing through a different lens what they're saying, and they've sort of lost the magic, so to speak, of that franchise, and they don't support it anymore. Whereas some people are like, hey, Michael Jackson, ride or die, man. He's my guy. I don't care what those allegations were. Like Michael Jackson, he's the GOAT.
He's
and
still a musical genius. Yeah.
And I'll always listen to him. You know, I don't believe it or whatever. You know, so it's kind of applying the same thing to this is like people, because you can also apply to American football as well, right? Like the terrible job that they do disciplining players who do really insane, awful shit, or the fact that they're not really protecting the players that well with the CTE protocols and things like that. They treat them basically like disposable commodities, where it's like, well, you got to get out there and play because people want you to be here. You know, we need to win these games even at the cost of your health, and they've come under fire for all that sort of stuff too. Is, you know, again, I'm not a huge sports person, so this doesn't have as big of an effect. I felt kind of gross watching the World Cup, especially for whatever sort of promo vids they were doing for Qatar and things like that. I was like, yeah, fuck you. Like, this is all a bunch of bullshit.
It's all mirrors and
gas.
I don't know
gas
why
and
I
mirrors.
What I was saying. Yeah, you know what I'm saying. Yeah.
Gas and reflective surfaces.
It's all fake. It's all a ruse to sell it.
Yeah, it's like, come visit us. I'm like, no, I don't think I will. I think I'll pass. I don't need to see you guys touting whatever kind of, you know, shit you're trying to sell here, because I'm not buying it. You know, fuck off, fuck all the way off. But I pose a question out there to anyone who's listening who is a huge sports fan, in particular World Cup soccer fan. How do you reconcile with this? And that's also to say that I'm in no way saying you can't or shouldn't watch the World Cup. Like, you can't. It can be both. You can watch this, enjoy the sport, and still be disgusted by what's going on. But how do you personally reconcile with that? Like, what is your mechanism to be like, you know, once that ball hits the pitch, it starts going, and the emotions are riding. How do you reconcile with that? You know, how does that work? Because I still struggle with that stuff. You know, from like a movie standpoint. I just watched a movie recently with Kevin Spacey. I'm like, fuck, he's good in this movie. But I'm also like, fuck, that's kind of a creepy dude, you know?
You forget, it's exactly it. You forget, you're just like, God damn, this guy is a really, really fucking good actor. But, God damn, he also really, really gross at the same time and kind of went off the rails. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. It's tough.
I totally see how people, I mean, this is a very meaningful sport to a lot of people. It's a very meaningful event to a lot of people, and it is something that doesn't come around that often. So like you said, it's like their Olympics, you know. It's something that they look forward to, and then to have a corrupt organization put it in a corrupt location is just it's not only do you have to deal with FIFA every time this comes around, you also now you have to deal with the location to put in, so it's just like a double whammy.
Well, it's funny because there's this article from The Guardian. It was an op-ed from Mihir Bose, who talked about, there's a line in here that I loved. Here we go. Nobody works at preserving that myth better than FIFA, basically meaning that the myth of that, you know, the myth of the beautiful game, the world body that controls the game. If proof were needed, it was provided on Tuesday, as the England team flew into Qatar in a jet that advertised its support for LGBTQ rights. Gianni Infantino, the president of FIFA, was in Bali lecturing world leaders at the G20 summit that the World Cup could be used to stop the Russian devastation of Ukraine. Right.
I mean, first and foremost, Now, I'm not obviously super well versed in the politics of. I know how loved football is, but I don't know the depth at which it can sway politically whole countries. I would be very surprised if Vladimir Putin was just like, "Oh, you won't have anything to do with us anymore if we don't stop. Okay, we'll stop. We're sorry." I'd be very surprised. I feel like that's the president of FIFA flying a little too high on his own, stink.
It's tough for me because again, I don't value this the same as a diehard fans do.
Agreed,
But
yeah.
this article also notes that David Cameron, when he became the prime minister, one of the first things, this is a quote from him, he said, "One of the first things I did when I became prime minister was to call you," meaning Blatter, who was the FIFA head at the time, was to call you to reconfirm the new government's full support for England 2018. And adding, "Mr. President, you have done a huge amount for football during your whole life. The decisions you have made have been instrumental in taking the game to new heights." So he basically, a guy who just became prime minister of England, calls the president of FIFA to be like, "I want you to know, I could really use your support because we want to host, for 2018 in the UK." I mean, that's insane. That's one of your first calls,
Yeah.
That's,
I mean, again, I say that I can't see how an entire country could be politically swayed, but I mean, look right there, However, I don't think Vladimir Putin plays the same game other world leaders play, so I can't necessarily say that, Vlad's going to be taking the same approach as the Prime Minister of the UK.
Yeah. Well, I love it, too, because, again, the current FIFA president is basically telling World Cup teams, just stick to football. Don't worry about all this other shit going on. It's like, you can't host this game in a country where human rights are stifled at an alarming rate and be like, "Hey, just fucking play the game." It's like, that's not how this works, man. That's like when LeBron was told to just shut up and dribble. It's like, no. A person of that magnitude and that much influence, they can use their platform any way they see fit. And, for better or worse, I mean, look at what Kanye's doing. So, it is what it is. I've noticed no one's telling him just to shut up and rap, but whatever.
Well, I think those who are telling him to shut up and rap are quickly being ignored by Kanye.
Yeah, that's another one. Can you still enjoy Kanye's music these days?
I don't enjoy Kanye's music these days. I enjoy early Kanye music, but this is just my personal opinion. I think the first few albums were fantastic, and I think as they went on, to me, they got less great. That's actually something that I wanted to bring up at a later. Well, maybe we bring it up now. Can a lot of people? You don't mind pivoting, Doug, right?
Not at all.
This is Mind Gap.
Let's pivot.
A lot of people say, that Kanye is a genius. And my argument would be I think Kanye was a genius. And when I said that to someone recently, I stopped myself and I'm like, if you're deemed a genius, can you fall out of being a genius, or
Absolutely.
Are you forever a genius?
I think you can absolutely fall out from being a genius. One can make that argument.
It's not a lifetime appointment.
One can make that argument with Elon Musk. Because I think you can be a genius at certain things.
Okay.
But and again, this is just off the top of the dome, Elon, I think, is very impressively minded when it comes to things like engineering because of the thought process that goes behind it. That's something where you can put out a prototype, you can fail, you can refine it, you can continue to build on something like that and make something good. Versus, in my opinion, the audacity to purchase a social media platform and then apply the same sort of procedure and logic. You're not producing a machine, you are creating a supposedly free speech town square. You're basically, as someone put it on a podcast I recently listened to, you're in the customer service business now, which is drastically different from the automotive world. And whatever bullshit he's trying to pull on there, I don't agree with, which I pretty much I've stopped using Twitter at this point. But The point being that you could argue that he had some pretty genius ideas to push things forward in the automotive world. I mean, SpaceX, I think, is pretty impressive. He's also had some real duds. You know, the whole tunnel system under LA.
Company.
Yeah, like, whatever. Like, not everything has to be a fucking hit, you know? But
part of genius is iterating and coming
Right.
up with new ideas. And does it work? No. Moving on.
I think it also depends on how you define genius. I hate to be that guy, but I was like, when I think of genius, I think of someone who is, whatever they are attached to, whatever they're doing, they far surpass anyone else around them, and they're also inventing, they're creating, they're doing things people have never thought of, they've never heard of. That could be a fucking musician, right? Someone who plays something in a way that you've never heard of, you've never thought of, the combination of stuff, and you're like, oh my God, this is amazing, and this person has created this. They are a genius. You, obviously, like a math genius, right? Someone who can look and see the math and understand it in ways that you and I never could, which isn't saying much. We don't understand much of it.
Applications,
Right.
for it,
They create a new idea, a new theory, a new something to apply what they've seen. They just, you know, to quote Good Will Hunting, they can look at it and they can just play. Like they just understand it. It's in tune with their being, and they can just go with it. They roll with it. But when it comes down to, I don't know. I think you can be a genius, and at the same time, this could also tie it to results, I guess, to some degree.
Okay.
Can you be a genius if you don't do anything with that genius? You know what I'm saying? Does that make sense? I just literally thought of that question right now.
Can you be a genius if you don't do anything with
that with those skills?
That gift, or, yeah.
Yeah.
I don't know if you don't do anything with it. I would say no, because you've got to do something with it to indicate that you are a genius, right? Like
I would
there has to
assume
be
so,
something-
right?
There has to be something either produced or some way, definitive way, to show that hey, this is a thing that makes me the genius, right?
Because I guess this is kind of like if a tree falls in the forest and there's no one there to hear it, did it fall kind of situation? Because someone could be a genius and they could understand it, it could just speak to them, but if nobody knows, I mean, I don't know, right? I think maybe I'm being a little too objective with it.
No, I see what you're saying. I think you can be a quiet genius. I think you can have genius level intellect or be a genius at something. So I'll refine my answer then. I think you can be a genius without anyone knowing. But in regards to like Kanye, what we were saying is like, or Elon, I think the first few albums that he put out were genius, but then I don't think he had that same spark, that same magic. I don't know. It just didn't, for me, it didn't hit the same. Now, objectively, I would say I don't find him genius. I don't find his new stuff genius level, but that's an opinion, right? That's objective. So, because other people might say, "Oh man, this hits even harder than the first stuff hit, and it's only getting better." That's art too, you know. So, I think people holding on to but Kanye's a genius. I don't know, is he?
Well,
because. And then Beth brought up a good thing too, like, you know, because I said, well, he sold a white T-shirt for what, like $900, and she goes, yeah, but he sold it, and I'm like, fuck, that's a good point.
Yeah, like because there's a bunch of fucking morons out there too.
Well,
so.
That's the other thing. I'm like, was it just his name? Because
it's a brand.
I don't know if is that a genius thing or is that just really good marketing and capitalizing on fame? You know,
I think that's branding at that point in time.
Yeah,
you know, because
who
he is.
Yeah.
I would say. He may be able to maintain the title of genius because he found a way to push the boundaries of music at one point in his life. So can he still maintain that title? Maybe. Right? Maybe you could be like, he was a genius to put these beats together and do these things and put out these albums and say these words and put them in a way. You could look at that and say maybe that was a genius project that he put together.
Sure.
And then maybe this most recent one was not so genius, you know. Maybe his presidential bid, not so genius. Maybe bring a white supremacist neo-fascist to Thanksgiving dinner with Donald Trump. Maybe not a genius move. Maybe not asking Donald Trump to be his vice president. Maybe not a genius move. You know, there's a lot of questions all around that stuff.
Yeah.
So that's such a great question. Can you be a genius, and can you then lose that title based on what society says? I would argue society can take just about anything away from you. So,
That's true. Court of public opinion weighs strong.
Yes, I think easily someone could be like, well, not anymore. And I think a lot of that stuff is, what have you done for me lately? In a lot of ways. And some of that stuff you kind of have to look back, and maybe someone was ahead of their time, so to speak. Yeah. They were a genius and we didn't know it because we just weren't ready to accept whatever it was. So it's very possible. We weren't
able to see what they were seeing.
Like the movie Last Action Hero, that movie surprisingly didn't do very well, but it was an awesome satire on action movies at the time. Sure. It was so phenomenally well done that people just couldn't get it until well after the fact. They're like, wait a minute. That's actually a really good fucking movie when you look back at it.
Smart, yeah.
Like, that's a really smart fucking movie. Like, it's really pretty solid. So, I don't know. That's a phenomenal question.
Something that I was rolling around the other day, and I was Beth and I couldn't crack the code on that. We each had our opinions, but I do like it's less about the person being a genius and someone doing something that is genius. Maybe that's. I
think I don't know. Part of me also feels like that's a little too constraining. Like, after I said that, I was like, I don't know. Does it have to be? I don't know. I kind of feel like I've met some pretty bright and amazing people who were extremely skilled, who just didn't apply their skill set to the craft. Does that take away from it just because they're like, I just don't want to do this,
I don't know.
It's hard to say. 7 says, Last Action Hero slaps. This is not debatable. I agree. I think that's a great film. I think it's phenomenal. And I think once you take yourself out of the 90s and you go back and you look at it, you're like, this is really, because at the time we were in the apex of action flicks.
Right.
And I think people looked at this as like, this is a dumb action flick. It's like, actually, no, it's a satire. It's a really great satire on everything that we're immersed in right now. And if you go back and watch it, you're like, oh, wait a minute. It's actually pretty clever,
I will say the same thing in that capacity then. If you can take yourself out of the 90s and go back and appreciate it, the same exact thing can be said for Mario Brothers.
Yeah, because we were just drowning in awesome superhero movies at the time, right? And video game adaptations, Are
you not hearing that at all?
Hearing what?
Did you not hear the Practical Doug theme playing?
Nope. Sure didn't.
Okay. You talked right over it. I was like, oh, he's just going. Okay.
Yeah, fuck you. Fuck you and your theme song.
So wait, you didn't hear that?
Nope.
Uh-oh.
Don't worry. I got this.
That ain't good.
I got this. Stand by.
Hold on. I'm worried about this now. What's going on here? You can still hear me, right?
You got the questions, we got the answers. All you do is ask. Practical. Ask Practical Doug.
Have you heard any of the sounds that I've been playing?
You've played no sounds as far as I'm concerned.
Really?
Yeah. Go back and check the tape.
That explains some, not all. Oh, you know what? I know why. Hold
Surprise,
on.
motherfucker.
Right now. Yeah. Wait. There it is. How about this?
Hey, there was a fart.
How about that?
Machine.
Hey.
Yeah. Wow. Okay. Well, there you go. So
I was just totally talking over the intro, and you're just like, Jesus, Doug.
There's a few of the things that I did that was like, man, nothing, huh? All right, cool.
Yeah. No, I'm a tough crowd tonight. I'm a comedic genius. You got to impress me,
So if you've never
machines,
if you've never been here for Practical Doug before, Practical Doug is the small Doug that lives inside Large Doug. It answers a lot of life's questions for Large Doug, and it can also answer questions for you. You can join us live here on YouTube as we stream on Tuesday nights at 7 Central, and you can ask in the chat there. You can join our Discord. There's a Ask Practical Doug channel, and it's lovely. You can hashtag Ask Practical Doug on any social media. and you can ask us just at MindGap Podcast and let us know. Today's Practical Doug, though, comes from Emilio.
Who
And Doug-
posted this in our Discord channel, by the way. So
Yes, he did. So if you want to ask questions like this, join Discord and find us. If it was affordable, Doug, would you replace pieces of your body with cybernetic versions?
my follow-up question to that would be like right now, like today, meaning like in
Yes.
the current time that we're in, probably not, because I don't think it's secure enough.
Okay.
I don't think it's come far enough to where it would be very safe. It would seem very much experimental and
Okay.
incredibly dangerous. 15 years from now, 20 years from now, as this stuff becomes to get refined, possibly, depending on what it is, we have going on. And because again, if we're talking like cyberpunk level shit, if we're talking like Full Metal Alchemist level shit, where you can get metal, auto mail, and cyberpunk is a world where it's like, oh, do you basically want to have superpowers?
Right. Well, let me ask you this: what would you replace then? So, like, let's say the technology caught up and we were at that level right now.
Mm-hmm.
Would you replace your arms, both, one, none? Would you do a leg? Would you do an eye?
You know what would be interesting would possibly eyes, because I have bad eyesight.
Okay.
It would be interesting to potentially upgrade that, because for the longest time I've been holding out on LASIK, because I'm like, I still don't know what the after effects are on that. You know what I mean? Like, it'd be nice to have pretty good vision. Also, it'd just be kind of cool to see, like, if we could see the different spectrums that exist out there, right?
Okay. I like that.
Probably
ultraviolet.
be maddening if you could just turn it. All of a sudden, you see all the germs floating around. You'd be like, ah! You'd probably lose your mind.
Turn it off. Turn it off. Turn it
You'd
off.
probably never go on the subway ever again.
Oh,
You'd
no.
be like, ah!
Definitely wouldn't lick the pole.
No. Well, I mean, we'll see. But it would be kind of wild to do that.
Yeah.
Some of the other stuff like arms, legs, not as keen about that, because especially if it gives me unnatural and unearned strength, then I think it would feel like a cheat,
Interesting.
Like, it's like, oh yeah, you can have these arms now that can just lift whatever you want them to, or I'll be like, hey, don't lift beyond this because this is the maximum torque that this device can handle, sort of situation. But even if it's more than I could ever naturally lift, I'm like, what do I need this for?
Yeah.
I'm trying to think of what other potential cybernetic stuff you could put in there. If there was a way to maybe just put a USB from my brain into the computer or something like
now we're
that.
talking about wetware, though, right?
Yeah, exactly. I mean, that's pretty much what I feel like the cybernetic stuff is.
Still be cybernetic, yeah. Like because you're not doing software at that point, but there's a jack for it, though.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think, I think really, I don't know. There's not a ton I would want to do, because I say this right now, but if someone's like, if you did this, it would extend your life. I'm like, I don't need that. I don't need
By
that
how
right
much
now.
is the question?
I was like,
Yeah.
the idea of living to 100, I'm just like, no, I don't think so.
See, right now I'm in that camp.
Of
I'd be like, yeah, 100.
yeah. I'd be like, there was a great joke from Tom Segura where he's talking about he knew this old guy, and he said he just got to the point where it's like, hey man, how you doing? He's like, unfortunately, still here. He's just like, what? Why are you so bummed? He's like, he won't take me. He's just like, I don't want to be here anymore.
I've never understood people when people are getting up to the age and they've expressed that sentiment of just like, I'm good. I just can't. I mean, and maybe I will once I get closer to that age. I'll start to understand that mentality. But at this point, I just don't understand.
Oh yeah. Right now we're going to be turning 40. It's like we still we're at the halfway point. Well, for you to live to 100, not quite the halfway point. But
yeah.
I imagine I have to imagine just when your body starts to just fucking deteriorate and break down, and your limited mobility, possibly cognitive decline, you get to watch everyone else around you die, the people that you love, and maybe some of the even younger people that you love that just don't come visit you because it's weird. You're probably just like, I can only do so much Wii bowling here. All right, like I want to. I mean, I'll be the old guy in the nursing home who's like, "What kind of internet do you got here? And can you take my computer because I need to make sure that I can game whenever I want to. I'm gonna play Overwatch 2 with my friends.
Yeah,
you know, like that's the kind of stuff that I'll be doing.
Yeah,
but I can understand to some. Imagine just being in a nursing home, just being like, Jesus Christ, this sucks. Please just let it end. And be like, why won't you take me?
I mean, look, I've got two grandparents have passed from dementia, Alzheimer's, and two are in the throes of it right now. And so, watching them in the assisted living facilities and the memory care wards, it's bleak, man. It's very bleak, and that terrifies the ever-loving shit out of me. That might terrify me more than anything. Is just slowly losing your mind. And
that is easily number one.
Absolutely.
Like losing your mind, losing just what's going on. It's a close second to that is just losing mobility. Like my dad just going out trying to do walks and he slips and falls on the ice. Like he just doesn't have the same mobility that he used to. And I'm like, fuck. You know, I try to use the stairs as much as possible because I'm like, at some point I'm probably not going to be able to do the stairs. Right. I'm going to have to wait for a fucking elevator or something like that. And that's going to suck. Like when I'm confined to that, you know, I see like at Disney World, I see people all the time in like those little carts. And I just told Jill, I'm like, don't ever take me here if I need one of those. Like, I don't want to do that. Like, it just seems like such a pain in the ass to me. And I'm glad they're inclusive there, but I'm like, I don't want to be the guy that's just, I just remember last time we were there, two old folks were trying to drive their way through the line at Test Track. And they could barely, like doing like an Austin Powers turn, trying to get around the curves because I think they went in where they weren't supposed to or they didn't know. And it's just like, I'm like, you poor fucks. I just feel so bad. And they're just like, trying to turn and go. And this, I'm like, God damn it. You know, this is just, or the poor fucks that are like, I have to go get groceries. And they just sit down in the cart when they get there, you know, around the store. Not because they're fat, just because they're like, it's hard to walk.
I can't walk
around the store. Yeah. It's just like, oh, God.
That's rough. Yeah, it's no joke. That loss of sense of mobility gives you a loss of freedom, gives you just a loss of, and not to mention that, but if you still have your, if you're still aware, then you definitely feel the attention on you because it's hard not to when someone comes by in a rascal, it's just for whatever reason it's just you watch them go by, so you've got everyone's, even if it's not for a prolonged period, you've got everyone's eyes on you momentarily as you roll by, and it's just that's gotta weigh on you.
I would say at that point you probably stop giving a fuck. You know, you got that old person thick skin where you're like, I don't fucking care. As you walk by,
again,
you know, you're just like just staring at him, making eye contact. You're like, yeah, I just did that. Come clean me up, Linda, come clean me up.
Another thing that I don't understand though, right? Like, because at this point, all I can think about is that drawing that unwanted attention. But you know, again, maybe when you get to that age, things change, and you do have that I don't give a shit attitude.
I'm slowly working my way towards some of those things. Some of the things I used to be really like I hate to do. I'm just like, I don't fucking care. I'm gonna do this because I need to get this done or whatever. I'm able to overcome it a little bit more now. Still, some of the things suck, but I'm like, whatever. I'm just gonna go do this. Seven says everything loses its sense of novelty or it becomes overwhelming. All your friends and family pass, gets lonely, etc. I'm like, I'm with you, buddy. Like the idea when I was younger, for a brief time, I'm like, oh wow, being able to live forever, that would be the coolest power in the world. I'm like, that would be the worst curse you could ever bestow upon me. It's like, you're gonna live forever. I'm like, great. I'm gonna slowly lose my attachment to humanity. I'm gonna become Dr. Manhattan because none of this is gonna matter because I'm gonna outlive everybody. And ultimately I'll get trapped under something because that is a statistical inevitability that somewhere, somehow, I will be alive forever. Eventually, I'll get trapped somewhere. That's going to happen. And there's nothing I can do about it.
Well, I've never thought of that. That's such a good point.
It's just going to happen. I will just be around long enough. And it says everything, too, is like, great, I get to be around here when this planet dies, either by humans doing it or the sun's going to explode. Hooray! You know?
Well, then at that point, the question is, do you keep living and just float through space, or will that then end you?
That's a great question.
Right?
Thank God we don't have to figure that out because that is a horrifying prospect unto itself of just like, great, now you exist in space.
Right.
Fuck that.
There you go. So, to answer the question, would you replace pieces of your body with cybernetic versions? At the moment, no is your answer. down the road, we'll see.
Yeah, we'll see.
Where we're at.
We'll see.
Yeah.
We'll see. This has
There you
been Ask Practical Doug. Thank you. Thank you for coming to this. All right, Justin, let's talk about recommendations. What do you got to recommend this week?
I'm going to recommend, I'm a little late to the game on this, as I am with things oftentimes, but The White Lotus, Season 1 on HBO. It won, cleaned up on some awards over the Emmys season, and I see why. It was very critically acclaimed, and it is a fun season of a show. Season 2 we're in the middle, there's 2 episodes left. It's an anthology series, so picks up in a whole different, basically it follows each season happens over the course of a week at a different franchise of this high-end resort called the White Lotus. So the first one happens in Hawaii, the second one happens at the White Lotus in Italy, or in Sicily specifically. The third one, I don't think they've revealed where it's happening yet, but it follows a whole different set of characters at the White Lotus franchise. Season 1 was absolutely awesome. It was very, very fun. Season 2 is good. I'm waiting to see how it wraps up before I render my full verdict on it. Very different tone than Season 1. But I would strongly recommend, if you can, check out the White Lotus Season 1 and give Season 2 a watch and see what you think. Really great cast, too. Connie Britton, Steve Zahn, Alexandria Daddario, Jennifer Coolidge. Some really, really fun, and I know there's people that I'm forgetting in there, but really fun cast, very well acted, well written, great concept.
And that's on HBO Max?
It's on HBO Max. It's just cool because it takes a look at how the other half lives, right? What happens when you go to this all-inclusive spa-y resort and you've got people who are just catered to, and the disparity between the people who stay there and the people who work there. It's just interesting.
Gotcha.
Yeah. What do you got?
I recommend the most recent episode of Whiskey Ginger with Andrew Santino with special guest Taran Killam.
Okay.
It was great listening to. I love it. I'm not a huge SNL guy.
Sure.
I know it exists. I know what the letters mean. But I've never been a regular consumer of the show.
Right.
But I love listening to people talk about what it's like to work on that show, and listening to Taran talk about, it seems like it was a very difficult experience for him being on that show, and how he's come to terms with it. And also he was talking about Andrew Santino asked some really great questions about, were there any sketches that you absolutely loved that you knew were good that didn't make it, that didn't make the cut? And then also Santino shares a story of when he met Norm Macdonald years ago when he first moved to LA, and he was just at a bookstore with a friend, and she was they were working on a sketch, and he just kind of came by. He's like, "Hey, what are y'all doing?" And they're like, "Holy shit!" And he was just kind of shooting the shit. He's like, "All right, I'm gonna go buy a Steinbeck novel. I'll be right back." And they're like, "Okay, well that was cool. We got to meet Norm." And then he comes back with the Steinbeck novel and continues to shoot the shit, and then starts telling them stories about,
Jesus Christ.
sketches and things like that.
Yeah.
And it was just so much
Told
fun.
Bill Murray. He just randomly sat down with people and started talking.
Yeah. He's just he's just telling people stories and everything, and they're like, "Oh my God, it's Norm Macdonald." So I thought it was a really cool episode, and Andrew Santino's funny, and Taran Killam's also just delightful, wonderful human being.
I'll give that a listen.
Yeah.
I got my next week's recommendation kind of piggybacks off that concept, but I'll have to give that a listen because I like that. I like those kind of stories.
Yeah, I do too. I think it's for anyone who's curious about what it's like to work on SNL, you can ask him. You can't. You can listen to it though. You can't talk to him. It's not.
You can listen to Andrew Santino ask him.
Exactly. You can ask us anything because we're live right now.
That's true.
Whatever, you can do that. Speaking of, you can check us out on youtube.com/MindGapPodcast. We stream the podcast on Tuesdays at 7 p.m. Central, and I also host a video game stream on either Friday or Saturday, depending on the week. This week, it's actually going to be on Saturday, and I'm putting together a Project Winter stream. If you don't remember that, it's essentially Among Us, but in the snow, and more complicated and more fun. So we're digging that back out for the holidays, because that's definitely a holiday game where you try to murder each other or accuse each other of murdering each other. So that's going to be fun.
Good stuff.
So, yeah. So, again, youtube.com/MindGapPodcast. That's where we also post all of our episodes, our shorts, all our good stuff. You can check us out there. Check us out on all of our social medias at MindGapPodcast. Oh, like I said, Twitter, we're not terribly active these days because fuck that place. Fuck it hard. Yeah, check us out, redbubble.com for our merch, patreon.com for if you want to throw some money our way for that. Check out our Discord and link down below. Join the crew. Be a part of the solution. Not part of the problem. And don't forget to check out Justin online as well.
On Instagram at Justin_Michael, spelled Mikel. It's the fun way of spelling it while you're in the online realm. Check us out on Apple Podcast, Stitcher, Google Podcast, Podbean, Spotify, all the places, Good Pods, all the places where you can find and consume quality podcasts. Do the things we ask you to do all the time. Share, rate, subscribe, review, all those things. And then 2east8th.com and 2east8th on all social media. And then also on Instagram, Love and Improv Film on Twitter, Love and Improv, and loveandimprovfilm.com to keep track of how things are going with the movie.
How exciting.
Yes.
Well, this was a fun conversation. Thank you all for tuning in. Thank you to Seven. Thank you to Zinni. Thank you to Etoy for stopping by, and thank you for listening to us because you're all great people. And I hope you had a great Thanksgiving. And I hope you're just being good. Be good. Be good. The NSA is watching. Be good. With that, I'll say, Justin, thank you.
Douglas, thank you.
Chat, thank you.
Listeners, thank you.
And you all have a dandy fucking week. And that's how you end a show, ladies and gentlemen.
That is the podcast.
You gotta end it with a... Yeah. An oldie but a goodie. Yes. Good stuff. Good stuff was had by all. It was good things.
Thank you all for stopping by.
Yes, as always.
Hanging
And we look forward to seeing you on Saturday for some shenanigans times. So with that, we're going to be ending the stream. Thank you all for hanging out, and we'll see you next time. Enjoy your tiddlywinks.